JB here. Hope I was doing outstanding. February 26th, 2025. Let me just get the audio off here. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at, go from there. But take a look at the S&P. Looking to, well, hopefully not, but close to closing 5 sessions in a row in the red. We were in the green solidly in the morning, bounced up almost near 600, and then it's just been a melt ever since. And then comments at around 12:30 from POTUS around tariffs. Here we go again, right, with Mexico and Canada. Who knows if even if it mattered? It seemed like the market was just in melt mode, and it was like a slow melt all the way to 2 o'clock. We had lows 592 on a SPY, and then we've kind of just been chopping around here. So yeah, I was trying to scroll back to see when was the last time we had a 5 session sell off on the S&P, and it's been I have to go back, so I didn't get a chance to finish the rest of that. But certainly, yeah, I mean, I guess better to have that into NVIDIA earnings than to have us hitting all at all-time highs, blasting away, Nasdaq just soaring, and then it would almost be like a sell the news event here on the video. So maybe I have to think that their earnings are going to be stellar. The outlook's going to be stellar. It's going to be a beat. It's just a matter, the headlines will probably spin it, right? So if it's a beat and raise and the stock falls, the headlines will be, oh well, Nvidia didn't beat as much as expectations, right? I mean, but there's no beat number, that no raise number that people need to see, right? You don't see that, just estimates, right? So that's how they spin it. Similar to today's headlines. If the market closes red today, the headline is not going to be about anything else. It will be about tariffs, right? That's just how it works. So, uh, you always try and I always try to put things a little bit in context. Yields continue to fall. So let's see. I didn't even pull up the last read, but yep. So that's I mean, that's always going well. And then the VIX is flat. I mean, we are the VIX is at 19, so a little different being flat at 19 than it is at 15. But all things considered, we're not over the levels we saw earlier in the month and in February with the tariff tantrum and DeepSeek. So not too bad here. And also lower Bollinger Band on the SPY. We're down there, 592.64. So maybe that provides some support here today. Chop around and maybe we can find some footing into the end of the week. But nothing's changed here, and I still have the concern here, right? So you take a look at Bitcoin was down 2% in the morning, rallied up into the green by 10:30, 11, and then it's melted down ever since, down another 5% here. And then you look at the micro strategy I was talking about this morning. Well, strategy, excuse me. It's not called micro strategy anymore. Although if it keeps falling down, they might have to rename themselves to micro strategy again. But uh, it's like, I'm looking at the weeklies. I mean, is there going to be some follow through? Like should I get some oh crap puts? I hate to say that. I mean, if you've traded long enough, there's been some oh crap days where especially during the COVID times, 2008, 2009. But COVID, there was crazy times, right? I mean, I from 2008 to 2000 to 2020, there wasn't much in the way of halts on the market, right? If we did, there was limit downs that barely happened, and then boom, COVID came, and it felt like the halts were the new the new in thing on the markets, right? So we haven't seen anything like that in quite some time, but I don't know. I just get this feeling that like if Bitcoin keeps fading and MicroStrategy keeps selling, and then one day it's going to be down 15, 20, and then there'll be limit down, and then I think it's going to roll over to the market. So that's just in the back of my head. I don't. That's just. Do I give that a high probability? 2%, whatever. But the lower it goes, the higher the odds that it's going to happen at some point. So anyway, I keep talking about the last 2 days. Hopefully I don't have to talk about it anymore. And then small caps kind of flat here too, holding that 215 handle on the IWM. Hopefully, knock on wood, we finally get going there. And then, like I said, the VIX, the upper Bollinger Band is 1962. So I used to have this context: if the VIX closed over its upper Bollinger Band twice, it usually reverses. So getting close to closing twice. So could imply that there's some kind of reversal coming. All right, so that's overall markets. Quick about Lemonade. So I had Lemonade on watch the last, well, I've been trading on and off for the last couple of months, and then I was looking possibly to get some calls into earnings this week. And then it was bobbling around. Premiums were kind of expensive, but then you know, I had that thought that if a beat and raise, the stock maybe trades in the 50s. Disappointment, it trades into the low 20s. I I thought it was a decent report. And I was saying it this morning that even when you read the shareholder letter, I'm like, it's a decent report. And then some of it is, I think there was uncertainty around the California fires. I think that got removed. So any anxiety or concerns that, hey, maybe they got a big hit with the California fires that's going to really weigh on their results, and it didn't. So it's like almost like a possible headwind got removed, and then the stock was gapping lower, and again has a high short interest. It was hanging there at 27, 28, and then it was 28, 28. And then once it started to go, once it broke 29, I said, let me just get some calls. And I was looking for spec calls maybe to next week. But then the March 40s were inexpensive on a risk reward basis, in my opinion. When I say risk reward, I think that if it has continuation, it could trade into the 40s in the coming weeks. So I got those 40 strikes. It broke over 30, all the way up to 31. I think it hit near 30, 32 by 11 o'clock. I locked some of the calls in for close. Did I get them for 200%? Um, so and I put him as a top pick. So just 100%. And they're still green right now, or a little over 100%. And I'll just continue to hold those because I think it. And there's only one or two analysts out this morning in regards to Lemonade, so maybe there'll be more analysts. And some of the spark the stock had back after its last earnings was was an analyst upgrade, and the stock went bonkers. So I think it's like like a ticking time bomb, and hopefully someone lights the fuse, it takes off. But you look at that chop in the morning, then consolidation, and then boom, once it broke that 29 handle, off to the races. So that's Lemonade. So Sweet Green, as much as I want to hold calls into earnings after the close, I think it's going to be a great report. It's not a name I've really traded over the years since its IPO. I mean, I haven't traded at all. And the 30 strikes, maybe it gets over 30, but I think even the beat and raise maybe gets to 25, and the premiums might come out of the call. So I didn't want to be in a spot where I lose money on it. So thankfully, I got a chance to close them out. And I actually could have got a little bit green, but it closed me flat. So I got out of the calls. Definitely a name I'll be watching Sunday after hours and maybe revisit for earnings. The other thing, only monthly strikes, so it makes it difficult to play, at least for how I want to trade it. So that's Sweet Green. Visa and JPM, I mean, just floundering around here today. I mean, Visa was at the lows this morning and then bounced, and then it's still slightly in the red here. I mean, you look at the chart on Visa, it's like so tight. And I mean, the Bollinger Bands are getting tight here, which usually precedes a large move. Could be up or down. Uh, I just hate to not be in something if once that break happens, if it's to the downside. So I mean, I'm not going to add anything more just yet, but maybe later in the week, especially if there's weakness, I might look to get some puts into next week on Visa. The last time I played the Visa puts, that FTC news came out or Department of Justice news came out, and the stock tumbled, and my puts were up a couple 100%. So not it takes a little luck to get news like that. I don't think it needs news to really break down. So we'll see how it plays out. But don't be surprised if I had some puts there. JPM still holding some freebies there. 50-day moving average is 255 and change. It got down to hit 256.93, I think was the lows this morning. And then that one's just kind of been chopping around here at 258. It's not going to take much for this one either, so I'll continue to hold the last couple of my freebie puts there. Um, and then here's MicroStrategy and that 200-day moving average. Just look at the chart here. Now, I'm not bearish to name. Like I'm a big believer in digital, the crypto and especially the future of transactions. And all the things that it brings. So I'm not bearish in mindset that other people you see, especially Peter Schiff. He's pounding his chest now. Oh my gosh, he posted something on FinTwit before. Which comes first, gold to 3,000 or Bitcoin to 8,000? So it's like 80,000. So say, heads gold wins, tails Bitcoin loses, which is what Peter Schiff, he's been pounding his, beating up crypto and Bitcoin since $800. But drives me nuts. So I'm not in that case at all. But it's like even Tesla back in the day. If you did, a lot of folks who trade Tesla now, I mean, a lot of the risk has been removed. Back when it was before the splits and all that fun stuff, and was still not generating a profit, it got to points where if the stock tumbled more, they'd be bankrupt, right? I mean, that's just what was going to happen. I'm not saying similar here where MicroStrategy, but oh, anyway, so definitely in there, I'll be watching. I don't think I'll get puts, but if the market falls and Bitcoin starts to really come under pressure, especially if it does break 80,000, that's a possibility. All right, so that's that. Teladoc reports after the close here today. I mean, 5 straight sessions to the downside, just like the S&P. Going to need a solid report, a beat, and a raise, and if there's positive commentary to coupled with that, I think it trades much higher. And tomorrow will be after hours, and tomorrow will be the first step for that. Um, Oh, Travel Zoo. So, I was talking about Travel Zoo earnings yesterday morning. The stock was getting pummeled only because it was a slight miss on revenues and EPS. The thing with the Travel Zoo story, it's not about, I mean, it is about earnings a little bit, but their growth has been slowing. It's about their new membership program. And the commentary on the conference call and the shareholder letter spoke to their Q1 revenues are going to start to increase, and their 2025 revenues as a whole for the fiscal year are going to increase incrementally. So, I mean, I'm surprised it sold off, and I was looking at calls, but I passed, and it's up nearly 9% here today. But that's definitely back on radar. And then some other names, I was looking for Caterpillar and URI for some bounces. I'll continue, especially if NVIDIA can at least pull a rabbit out of its hat. I would say save the markets, but we can rally tomorrow. These names, I mean, it looks set up, but I wouldn't rule out Caterpillar falling more, right? Could be a falling knife for a consolidation the last couple sessions before the next leg. So I'm not going to sit there and rush. But the other I would say that the ironic thing is then, I was looking at Biogen and Regeneron the last couple of days. Thankfully, I didn't add some calls because all of a sudden, like no news, no catalyst, and both those names took it on the chin today. Right. So, um, one of these days, the bio names will run. I don't know when it is. Uh, when it is, hopefully, I'll be in some call positions to take advantage of it. I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great afternoon. Snow reports after the earnings, after the close today. Always MDB is another name I'd be watching, but as much as I want to have conviction and trying to add some speculology, you look at MDB, it's 266 here, and I was looking at possibly some spec calls, but they're pricey, right? So, uh, actually, it's not too bad. It's 266 here, but you got to go up maybe 290, but to pay $1, and those are up 100%, by the way. So, uh, only a 2.5% move to get 100% on MDB. So premium build and sympathy with snow. Mental note for next time. That's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.